Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Monson here with the Good Morning Portugal show podcast and a little bit of Substack in as well. If you go to my Substack, you'll see a little collection of conversations about the recent Portuguese election. If you'd like some views from real, authentic Portuguese people, what they think and what the implications are for us foreigners, we go into that as well. Check it out on my Substack. Loads of videos on Good Morning Portugal on YouTube as well. And to complement that collection with a slightly different view on women's health this morning, you may have seen a uterus flash before your eyes in the opening sequence here. That and other things will be discussed this morning. Nice big round of applause for Claire McGonigal. Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
Hi, Carl. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I've been up early this morning making the tiles for the shows. Talking to Aviva this morning about a new support group as well, actually, that she's convening. And when you search for pictures of women's health, which is what I think you'd like to talk to us about today, you get pretty pictures of stethoscopes with flowers stuck in them and uteruses, if that's the right pluralization, made out of flowers and pretty things. This is how we view women's health, isn't it? Or some people do in their graphic.
Can be more hard hitting than that.
I think so. And I'm not sure if you're going to be hard hitting or not this morning. Let me just check how are you doing? How are you doing? Spring in central Portugal must be lovely.
Beautiful. Oh dear. I've been in the garden. I've just picked my fresh asparagus this morning. I'll have poached egg on toast, which the bread I made, and my fresh asparagus. Life is good.
Oh, that is so simple and so profound at the same time, isn't it? I believe.
And the eggs are from my neighbour, so they're locally sourced eggs, asparagus, and bread. I didn't grow the flour though. I'm not Henny Penny.
No, okay, got to draw the line somewhere, haven't you? But that doesn't sound like in any way a compromise. That sounds like a beautiful life. The sort of life many aspire to, moving to Portugal as well. So well done.
I wish more people could, you know. I don't like the rat race. I don't like the 9 to 5. I think it grinds you down and kills your soul. So if people could look outside the box, that would be wonderful, you know.
Well, that's what you're going to be doing now with women's health. You've already talked about eggs, which is an excellent segue into I'm
talking about mammograms, so it's a bit above the eggs, Carl, a bit above the eggs.
You were going to talk about smear tests as well, weren't you?
Yes, smear tests as well.
Yeah, okay. Now, I'm one of the few men that's had a mammogram, strangely enough. And it's
how did that happen?
And it was upstairs, not downstairs, because I imagine they say, don't they, if there was the equivalent mammogram machine for testicular examinations, it would not be as brutal a technology, would it?
I don't think it would be used. I don't think men would queue up to get that.
They don't, do they? There's more sort of prostate health awareness now. And you'd have to be just a little public service announcement. If your doctor ever says, look, no hands whilst doing a prostate examination, be very careful and never use a doctor's pen. Anyway, just a little bit of levity around a serious bringing it back to women's health. Are we starting upstairs or downstairs? We're starting
upstairs, definitely upstairs.
Okay, all right. So what is your thoughts about mammograms?
I've actually had one mammogram in my life. I wasn't feeling very well at work, and I found a lump under my arm, and they took me, and I had a mammogram a couple of weeks later, and it was so painful, Carl.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, I mean, okay, so you stick your breast in this machine, and it just flattens it.
Yeah,
flattens it. It's like a rolling pin, but it's like a steamroller more than a rolling pin. And then they take radiation pictures above and below, so they give you a couple of doses of radiation. And I just had one breast done. And they came and said, no, there's nothing wrong. So that was great. That was 25 years ago. And I've still got the lump, and I'm fine. You know, I've never Never ever had it checked anymore. Once they said it was fine, it was fine.
Yeah.
But I've been looking and researching mammograms because my local health centre sends me every year, come and get a mammogram. And I refuse every year. And they say mammograms save lives. And that's what I'm trying to dispute, that mammograms don't really save lives. And they're more hassle than it's worth, and they're not good for you, actually. If you're a 40-year-old woman and you start getting mammograms, then you're liable to get a false positive within 10 years. And then they start, false positives. 30% of women get false positives from the mammograms.
Okay.
And the mammograms detect in 50% of cases slow growing cancers, slow growing that'll never affect the woman in her life.
Right.
And a cancer that is, let me just have a look at my notes, non-lethal.
Yes.
So 50% of detected cancers via mammograms are slow growing and non-lethal. And yet they say they save lives. They actually save, I think it's 5 people out of every 1,000, but it affects more people than that in a bad way.
This is what people are learning more and more, I think, isn't it? With
mammogram is sort of new technology, isn't it?
Can I just sort of
40,
rewind and sort of pick that apart a little bit? So for those that do want them, and there are many people who do just want what is offered to them as part of their health screening. It's interesting, isn't it, to note that here in Portugal, if you come here as a foreigner, you will be offered that. So that will be
I'm registered at the health centre, and I do get offered it every month.
Right,
every year.
Won't be long till it's every month, I suspect. But people who want that, we can note that you get that service here in Portugal, along with other proactive health interventions, vaccines. There will be messages: come and get this, come and get that, come and get this test, that test. So the service of that kind is good in Portugal for those who are looking for it, and people do want annual health screening, don't they? Some people.
If you know someone or are closely related to someone who has had breast cancer and who has survived or died from it, then maybe you would be better off getting it.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
The other thing I want to respond to in what you're saying is, when the idea of things saving lives, which I think is part of health PR, isn't it? What I think is being collapsed here, and what you've just referred to, I think, is what saves lives is awareness and taking action, right? So it might be that a mammogram, because somebody's concerned, takes a certain course, discovers something that it was useful to discover. But in that mess, we also get the false positives that you're talking about. And when there's a dominant testing procedure or a health regime of some kind that is like a massive public health thing, that is no longer necessarily about personal awareness, is it? That's a massive public health initiative, and I think there are casualties in that. I agree with you. Iatrogenics, they're called, aren't they? Death by medicine, not saving life with medicine, if you like.
Exactly. Well, in America, they say that you're more likely to die from your doctor than you are from a road accident.
Oh dear,
which is
that's
shocking.
They keep that one quiet, don't they?
They do. So a 25-year Canadian study in 2014 found no significant reduction in breast cancer mortality among women who had annual mammograms. So that means if you get an annual mammogram, they don't find that you can die from the results, basically, if you get my meaning.
I do.
So there's no benefits to having an annual mammogram. They studied women for 25 years. There was no benefit. There's ultrasound.
Why does it happen, do you think? Why does it happen? Because it's
in America. I'm not saying in Portugal or England, but in America, it's big business. So if they detect something, however, it might be slow growing and non-lethal, if they detect it, well, you're in the system. You are now a cancer patient. You are now having regular everything, scans, medicine, anything that they can charge you for. Big pharma in America is just a business to make money, not to save people, which is horrendous.
In the post, it's the same similar things happen in the UK, and I suspect in Portugal too. Is it the same for smear tests then? Were you going to make the same point about routine smear testing? Now, I've been married and I live with women, and they get the letter, come in for your smear test.
And do they go?
Anecdotally, what tends to happen, Claire, it's very interesting. Younger women go, don't they? Because they are concerned and they're scared by the the worst possible outcome that the test is pointing at. So they go and have a test, and again, it's the world sometimes of false positives or a scare. And you'll be told things like there's some dubious looking
abnormal cells, they call
abnormalities. That's right, abnormalities, and we should probably whip those off. So again, it's that sort of conveyor belt thing, isn't it? Which if it was, and if I may connect it to sort of prostate health as well, what I've learned about prostate, from looking at this over the years, is the same sort of thing you're talking about. Most men will die with that rather than
not of it.
Of it, that's right. So constant testing and scaring and fear mongering puts people into a particular trajectory of, oh my God, I've got the disease, I need the treatment, and you go off in a certain direction. Whereas, my old man, as it were, he was like, he died from something different, but he, it's like he died. He probably died with prostate difficulties and challenges, which is the way of becoming an old man in many ways. Yeah, I think so. It's similarly, you're making a point about smear testing.
Well, what I'm saying about smear testing, so they go in there and they take a biopsy, and the biopsy can damage the woman, and it can actually lead to infection and abnormal cells and cancerous growth, because I don't know if you know what they do, but they actually snip a bit of your skin off, rip a bit of your skin off, the most internal precious part of a woman, and take it away for a biopsy, and then you're left with bleeding and suffering.
That's an abnormality, isn't it? Like ripping some cells away in a very tender and deep part of the body is also an abnormality. We've just made an abnormality. And we found one as well. Okay, so clearly, you're suspicious.
So I don't go for them anymore.
Okay, right. Presumably you did when you were younger. You thought, okay,
I did when I was younger. I fed into all the BS that it's good for you, But the more you get it, the worse it is. So and then they go in and then they laser the abnormal cells that they say they've found off, which are probably growing after as well. Yeah. After they've ripped you apart, the abnormal cells have grown, and then and it's burning the flesh. And
there must be an unholy aroma in such places. I have had a biopsy. When I was telling you, I've had a mammogram. I had a fatty lump in one of my man boobs. And I had the mammogram, and I was being a very back in the day, a very woke house husband. I was looking after my daughter, and who came along to the appointment with me. And the second bit of the appointment was the needle in, and I had to say to my daughter, "Look, you just sit over there because Daddy's about to have a little." What do they call it? Procedure here. It's like putting a needle. I mean, some people pay a lot of money for that, don't they? Like weirdos, but I didn't like the idea of that, and they took a little bit out, and I never heard from them again. That was the funny thing, and I didn't push it. But as you say, there is fatty tissue. There are things that can get escalated, aren't there? And then we're not suggesting for a moment, if you've got something you're worried about, do what you need to do to get it checked out.
Absolutely. Right? If something's happening and you feel something's happening, go and get checked out. But there's better ways to get checked out for mammograms. There's ultrasound. There's blood tests, and you can actually, if you feel that something's not right, you can self-examine. You examine yourself. A woman knows her body.
Well,
and
does
you
she?
examine yourself.
This is what
This is what women should do. They shouldn't rely on doctors to tell them what's wrong. They should be able to look at their own bodies and examine themselves and understand if something's abnormal with them.
heresy. This is going to be very
I
uncomfortable.
would be a witch. I'd be burnt at the stake.
Do you know what? We might even get banned or delisted or something like this. And no doubt comments. You can't say things like that. Like, let's make it very clear. Be responsible. Do what you've got to do for your own health.
Your own health, absolutely. Yeah, don't listen to me.
Not telling anyone what to do.
No,
Claire is taking responsibility for her own health and making some interesting points here, I think. And that one about women knowing their own bodies. This is what's happened. And you know, there may be comments here as well. Who is this guy telling women how to, you know, I understand that. I'm not telling any women, I'm not mansplaining. I just find this a fascinating subject. I live with women. I love women. I've got 2 daughters, you know, and the women in my life tend to have got that self-education and are interested in knowing their own bodies rather than just seeing it as a vehicle that they take along to the vehicle shop once a year. Like, Doc, check it out for me. I think this thing that I spend all my life in might have a few problems. Tell me what they are. But I think, you know, women like yourself, other women are just developing more of an inner vocabulary or their own sense of their own health, right? And I think that's a really important and special thing.
Yeah, to know who you are, how your body works, because we're all different. No one's the same. We're all biologically different, physiologically different, and we need to know how we work, why we work. I mean, I'm past the having babies. Hopefully, I'm past the menopause now. But I know what to do to my body to keep fit and healthy, and that's the most important thing. The woman I was watching who was about mammograms was a woman called Dr. Jen Simmons, a breast surgeon in America, and she quit the business because she was so sick of seeing the mammograms prove false positives. And she have to go in and do surgery when nothing was actually wrong, but she was operating on only women, and there was nothing wrong with them. They came back non-lethal, non-cancerous, and slow growing, and it wouldn't have affected the woman. The woman would have died of a heart attack, 70, 80 years old, and the breast cancer would still be there.
It's very interesting, and there seem to be more and more of these physicians, medics coming out at the moment.
Yes.
Is it Zach Bush? He's a very interesting chap, isn't he? He's an ex-chemo. His first name is Zach. Someone will probably put that in the comments for us. Now, on a positive note to end, because that's been a fascinating conversation with you, and we need to go and enjoy the Portuguese sunshine and our asparagus and eggs on toast.
Absolutely.
On a positive note here, look at this. I robbed this off your Facebook timeline.
Oh, did you? That's so good.
Unheard facts that everyone should know. Food is the most abused anxiety drug. Water is the most underrated superfood. I think you were telling me to drink more water before we started. Fasting is the most forgotten cure. Exercise is the most underused antidepressant. Sunlight is the best medicine. Hallelujah. And gut health is the most important. Final word to you. Which one of these do you want to send us on our way with this morning?
Well, because the sun is out, you really need to hydrate. You said you're a bit dehydrated, a bit thirsty, and we're sweating more because we're moving more and it's hotter. So get yourself some Himalayan or Celtic salt, more Celtic salt, and water, and hydrate throughout the day. It's wonderful. Your skin will love you for it.
Okay, all right. My skin will love me for that. It's a deal. Combinado, as we say here in Portugal. Claire, always fascinating to talk to you. If we're allowed back on the internet, see you again.
Cancelled.
See you again next month. Well, peace, man. Have a lovely weekend.
Ciao, ciao. Bom fim de semana. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need